The mansion door bursts open with force. A woman in her 50s comes running out, clutching her purse and wiping away tears. "I can't take this anymore. This kid is impossible," she shouts, rushing down the steps. "You can keep the money. I'm not coming back here even if you pay me double." From inside the house comes the sound of loud crying and children's screams. Something breaks. More screaming. Alexander Kensington, a 34-year-old businessman, pulls his car into the garage just in time to see the nanny fleeing. He shakes his head, exhausted. This is the 15th professional who's quit in 6 months. Alexander enters the house and finds his wife, Miranda, standing in the living room. Her hair's disheveled, and she has a look of desperation on her face. "I can't take this anymore, Alex. That was the last nanny from the agency," Miranda says, running her hands over her face. "Connor drove them all away. The best in the city, the most experienced. No one stays with him for more than a week." From upstairs comes another scream, followed by the sound of something hitting the wall. "So what now? What are we going to do?" Alexander asks, heading up the stairs. He finds Connor, 4 years old, in the middle of the room, surrounded by scattered toys. The boy's red from crying so much, with his hair stuck to his forehead. "Connor, buddy, what happened?" Alexander approaches slowly. Connor stops crying for a second, looks at his dad, but starts screaming even louder. He throws himself on the floor and pounds his little fists on the carpet. "I don't want to. I don't want to," he shouts, repeating over and over. Alexander tries to pick up his son, but Connor struggles, pushes his dad away, and runs to hide under the bed. Miranda appears in the doorway, watching the scene. "You see? This is how it is all day long." He won't eat, won't sleep, won't let anyone get close. Alexander kneels down and tries to talk to Connor, who remains hidden. "Connor, come here, buddy. Daddy's home." "No, go away. Everyone goes away," the little voice responds from underneath, still crying. Alexander looks at Miranda, who's leaning against the doorframe with her arms crossed. "If we don't fix this, I'm going to have to stop working to take care of him," Alexander says, running his hand through his hair. "But I can't right now. Everything's crazy at the company." Miranda sighs and picks up her cell phone. "You know what? I'm calling the agency again. If they don't have any more nannies, have them send anyone. Even a housekeeper'll do, as long as she can stay with him." A few days later, early in the morning, the doorbell rings. Miranda opens the door and finds a young brunette woman, 23 years old, with a surgical mask covering half her face. She's carrying a simple backpack and a bucket of cleaning supplies. "Good morning. Did you request a housekeeper?" the young woman asks in a sweet voice. "Oh, so you're the one. Come on in. I'm Miranda Kensington." "Madison Bell," she responds, entering the house. Miranda looks at the mask curiously. "What's the mask for?" "I use really strong cleaning products," Madison explains, showing the bottles in the bucket. "Caustic soda, ammonia. I have to protect myself." "Oh, I see. Well, the house is big, but the main thing is my son's room. He's going through a really difficult phase and—" Before Miranda can finish, a loud scream comes from upstairs, followed by the sound of things being thrown. "Oh, here we go again," Miranda sighs. "Sorry, that's my son Connor. He's impossible." Madison sets the bucket down and looks toward the stairs. "Can I take a look? Sometimes kids calm down with new people." "You can try, but I'm warning you, he's terrible. No nanny can handle him." The two go upstairs. In the room, Connor's on top of the bed, throwing pillows and stuffed animals everywhere. When he sees his mom in the doorway, he grabs another pillow to throw. "Connor, stop it!" Miranda says, annoyed. The boy stops with his arm in the air, holding the pillow, and looks at Madison. His eyes stay fixed on her for a few seconds. Slowly, he lowers his arm and lets the pillow fall on the bed. Madison takes a step into the room, very slowly. "Hi, Connor, I'm Madison. Connor tilts his head to the side, like he's trying to remember something. He gets down from the bed slowly and walks over to her. Without saying anything, he extends his little hand and touches Madison's arm. She kneels down to get to his level. Connor stops crying completely. He stares into her eyes above the mask. "You're pretty," he says quietly. Miranda's eyes widen. She can't believe it. Connor hasn't spoken to strangers in months. "Holy cow, how'd you do that?" Miranda asks, impressed. Madison smiles behind the mask, gently running her hand through Connor's hair. Sometimes kids just need to feel that the person's good. Connor leans against Madison and closes his eyes, relaxing. "This is impossible," Miranda murmurs. "How can a simple housekeeper do this?" After a few weeks, the house routine changes. Connor, who used to spend the day throwing tantrums, is now calmer when Madison's around. But he still has his difficult moments. Alexander comes home from work and finds Connor drawing in the living room while Madison cleans the furniture. The atmosphere's more peaceful, but Connor still complains from time to time. "Hi, Daddy." Connor waves but continues concentrating on his drawing. "Hey there, buddy, what you drawing?" Connor holds up the paper and shows it. It's a typical kid's drawing, 2 stick figures holding hands. "It's me and Madison," Connor responds. "You call her Madison?" Alexander asks curiously. "Sometimes I call her Maddie," Connor says, going back to his drawing. Alexander looks at Madison, who's organizing her supplies. "Where'd you work before?" he asks in a casual but interested tone. Madison stops what she was doing, a little nervous. "In some houses around the neighborhood. Nothing too special." "Connor's never gotten along with the other people who came here. Do you have experience with kids?" "Not really formal experience, no. But I've always liked children." Connor stops drawing and looks at Madison. "Maddie, will you sing to me?" "What song, Connor?" "The one you sang yesterday." Madison hesitates, looking at Alexander. "It's a simple song. I think I learned it when I was little." She begins to hum a soft melody. Connor relaxes immediately, but Alexander pays attention to the music. "That's a beautiful song. Where do you know it from?" Madison gets nervous, fidgeting with the cloth in her hands. "I don't really know. I've always known it, you know." "That's interesting. Connor's never reacted to music like this before." Miranda comes down the stairs at that moment and stops to observe. "Connor, come have dinner," she says with a slightly cold tone. "I want Maddie to come." Connor responds, not moving. "Connor, Madison works here. She doesn't have dinner with us." "Then I'm not going." Alexander notices the tension in the air. "Miranda, I need to talk to you," he says, pointing toward the kitchen. In the kitchen, Miranda whispers to her husband, "This isn't normal. She's just a housekeeper, but Connor only wants her." "But he's better, isn't he? At least he's not screaming all day." "Alexander, this isn't normal. A stranger getting this kind of connection with him. It doesn't make sense." "Maybe she just has a way with kids. Or maybe she's not just a housekeeper." In the living room, Connor shows Madison another drawing. This time 3 people, him in the middle, holding the hand of a woman and a man. "Who are they, Connor?" "It's my family," he responds seriously. "You, me, and Daddy." Madison feels a strange emotion. "Why'd you put me in your family?" Connor looks at her with that childlike honesty. "Because you don't yell at me." After a few more weeks, Madison's cleaning Alexander's home office. He'd left some papers scattered on the desk before rushing out to a meeting. While organizing the documents to clean underneath, she sees a birth certificate with the name Connor Kensington. Madison looks around to make sure she's alone and reads the date, March 15th, 2019. She stops for a moment. That date's really close to when her son was born, a difference of only 1 day. Her hands start trembling. She thinks about the coincidences, Connor's age, the unexplainable connection he has with her, the way he looks at her. It can't be. she whispers to herself. It's not possible. But something inside her can't ignore it. She looks at the certificate again, memorizing the details. The memories of her pregnancy come flooding back. Madison, alone at 19, no family, no money. The difficult birth at the public hospital, and the news that destroyed her life. The baby didn't make it. I'm so sorry. She never saw her son's body. They said it was better that way. Madison quickly organizes the papers on the desk, trying to leave everything as it was, but her head spinning with confused thoughts. What if my son didn't die? What if they lied? She shakes her head, trying to push away these thoughts. This is crazy. These things don't happen. Connor appears in the office doorway. Maddie, what are you doing? Hi, Connor. Just cleaning in here. Want to come play? I made a new drawing. Madison looks at the child, the way he smiles, the shape of his eyes. She has a small dimple on her chin, and Connor has one too. Sure, let's see your drawing. As they leave the office, Madison can't stop thinking. Is she going crazy? Is she seeing things that aren't there? That night at home, she lies staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. The dates, the connection, the way Connor reacted to her from the very first day. I need to find out the truth, she thinks, but how can I do this without raising suspicion? On the other side of town, Miranda's in the bedroom looking out the window. Alexander comes in. What's wrong? You seem weird. It's that housekeeper. There's something about her that bothers me. What thing? She's good with Connor. Exactly, she's too good. Nobody gets a connection like that out of nowhere. Alexander lies down on the bed. You're overreacting. The woman just has a way with kids. Miranda continues, looking out the window, thoughtful. I hope that's all it is. She doesn't say it, but she's already decided she's going to keep an eye on Madison. She's going to find out who she really is and what she wants in their house, because something's not right, and Miranda's sure of it. Miranda's in the kitchen drinking coffee when she sees Madison playing with Connor in the garden through the window. The boy's laughing, something that hasn't happened in months, but instead of being happy, Miranda feels a tightness in her chest. She grabs her cell phone and goes to the bedroom, away from curious ears. Brooke, it's me. Hey, Miranda. Good to hear from you. I need a favor that's kinda complicated. Do you know anyone who works in private investigation? Investigation? Holy cow, what happened? It's about the new employee. There's something about her that doesn't sit right with me. Brooke laughs on the other end. Miranda, please tell me you're not jealous of an employee. It's not jealousy. It's maternal instinct, Connor's way to attach to her. But isn't that good? You were always complaining that he wouldn't accept anyone. That's exactly what bothers me. How does someone get that kind of connection out of nowhere? There's a pause on the other end. All right, I know a discreet guy, but it costs some cash. Money's not a problem. I just want to know who she really is. I'll send you his contact, but be careful, okay? Sometimes it's better not to mess with certain things. Meanwhile, in the garden, Connor's trying to teach Madison how to hop like a frog. Like this, Maddie. With both feet, he says, hopping around. Wow, what a smart little frog. Madison smiles, but her mind's elsewhere. Ever since she saw those documents, she can't stop thinking. Why aren't you happy? Connor asks, stopping his hopping. I am happy. No, you're not. When you get all thoughtful, your eyes look sad. Madison's impressed by his perception. Sometimes grown-ups worry about silly things. What things? Nothing important. Connor comes closer and puts his little hand on her arm. Are you going to stay here forever? Why do you ask that? Because everybody always goes away from me. Madison's heart tightens. How can such a small child carry this sadness? I'm not going away, Connor. Promise? Promise. From the bedroom window, Miranda watches the scene and feels even more certain that she needs to find out who this woman is. 2 weeks later, Miranda's in a coffee shop downtown, far from her neighborhood. She looks nervously at her watch when a man in his 40s approaches the table. "Mrs. Miranda? Are you Blake?" "That's right. Your friend gave me the case." Blake Sterling sits down and takes out a small, discreet notebook. "So, what do you want to know about this employee?" "Everything. Where she came from, where she worked, family, to everything." "Any specific reason for the suspicion?" Miranda hesitates. "It's just maternal instinct. My son's gotten really attached to her." "I understand. Got the full name?" "Madison Bell." "Address?" Miranda gives him the information she has. "How long will this take?" "About 2 weeks for the basic report. If I need to dig deeper, it'll take longer." "And what about discretion?" "Total. Not even your husband will know if you don't want him to?" "Perfect." Meanwhile, at home, Alexander comes back from work and finds Madison organizing the bookshelf in the living room, while Connor helps by messing everything up again. "Hey there, guys. How was the day?" "Daddy, Maddie's teaching me how to organize," Connor says, all excited. "Really? And how's it going?" "He's really smart. He already knows how to separate the books by size," Madison explains. Alexander observes the interaction between the two. There's something there he can't define, but it makes him curious. "Madison, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Do you have family? Siblings? Parents?" Madison gets a little tense. "I don't have any close family." "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to be nosy." "No, it's fine, it's just I lost my parents when I was young." "I'm sorry to hear that." Connor stops playing and looks at Madison. "You don't have a mom or dad?" "No, Connor." Then you're like me. I only have a mom and dad, but sometimes they're really busy." Alexander's touched by his son's innocence. "Connor, you have lots of people who love you." "I know. Maddie loves me." Madison feels her eyes getting teary. "I love you very much, Connor." Alexander observes the exchange between the two and becomes even more intrigued. There's a connection there that goes beyond normal between employee and child. 2 weeks later, Miranda's back at the downtown coffee shop. Blake arrives with a manila folder under his arm. "So," she asks anxiously, "I've got good news and bad news." "Start with the bad." "She lied about several things. The address doesn't check out, and the work references she gave don't exist." Miranda's heart speeds up. "And the good news? I found what she was hiding." Blake opens the folder and shows some papers. "Madison Bell lost a baby about 4 years ago. It was at St. Mary's Medical Center." Miranda feels her blood run cold. "A baby? Yeah, from what I could find out, it was a complicated birth. The child didn't survive." "What date?" Blake checks the papers. "March 2019. Around the 12th or 13th, the records aren't very clear." Miranda sits in silence, calculating. "Connor was born on March 15th, 2019. Can you be more specific about the date?" "I can try, but public hospital records are kinda messy." "Do that. And Blake, yeah? I want you to find out everything about that birth. Everything." "That's going to be more expensive and riskier." "I don't care." After Blake leaves, Miranda sits alone in the coffee shop, staring out at the street. For the first time, a terrible suspicion starts forming in her head. What if Madison discovered something? What if she knows about Connor? At home, Madison's in Connor's room, helping him put away his toys before bath time. "Maddie, can I tell you a secret?" Connor whispers. "Sure." "Sometimes I dream about a lady who sings to me." Madison stops putting away the toys. "What's this lady like?" "She's pretty and has a voice just like yours." "And what else do you remember from the dream?" She's always sad, but when she sees me, she gets happy. Madison feels a chill down her spine. And do you like these dreams? Yeah, because she makes me feel safe. Safe how? Like she's important to me. Madison hugs Connor, feeling a mix of emotion and fear. You're very special, Connor. You too, Maddie. That's why I like you so much. That night, Madison can't sleep. Connor's words keep echoing in her head. Is it possible for a child to have such early memories, or is it just coincidence? She decides she needs to find out more about her own past, about what really happened at that hospital 4 years ago. A week later, Miranda gets a call from Blake. Mrs. Miranda, I got more information. Go ahead. About Madison's baby. There's something weird in the records. Miranda feels her heart racing. What kind of weird? The death certificate was filed, but there's no body registered at the morgue. What do you mean, no body? It's like the child just disappeared. Very strange. Miranda stays silent for a moment. Blake, I need you to stop the investigation. What? Stop everything, now, and delete all the records you have. But why? It was getting interesting. Just stop, please, and don't ever talk to me about this again. Miranda hangs up the phone with trembling hands. Now she's sure Madison discovered something, and if she decides to talk. That afternoon, when Madison arrives for work, Miranda greets her with a forced smile. Madison, honey, can we talk? Sure, Mrs. Kensington. It's about Connor. He's gotten really attached to you. Is that bad? It's not bad, but he's a sensitive child. He's already suffered a lot with the nanny changes. I understand. So you understand why I need to be sure you're gonna stay, right? Madison feels there's something behind these words. I don't plan on leaving. Great. Because it would be terrible if Connor got even more attached and you disappeared. There's a subtle threat in Miranda's voice that doesn't go unnoticed. I'm not gonna disappear. Good. Because sometimes people discover things that make them want to change their lives. The two stare at each other for a moment. Madison understands that Miranda knows something. Mrs. Kensington, if you have any concerns about me, I don't have any concerns. I just want everything to stay as it is. Connor comes running into the living room at that moment. Maddie, come see what I drew. Coming, Connor. While Madison goes with Connor, Miranda stays watching. Now it's a matter of time. Either Madison gives up and leaves, or she doesn't even want to think about the second option. Because if Madison really discovered the truth, Miranda's going to have to take more drastic measures to protect her family, and she's willing to do anything for that. The next morning, Madison arrives earlier than usual. She needs to find out more about the documents she saw in the office, but when she enters the house, she finds Miranda waiting in the living room. You're pretty early today, Miranda comments, watching every movement. I've got a lot to do. What kind of things? Madison feels the tension in the air. The usual cleaning. Oh, sure, but today you're only going to clean the living room and kitchen. The office doesn't need it. But I always clean the office on Wednesdays. Not today. Alexander's got some important papers scattered around in there. Madison understands she's being prevented from entering. Miranda definitely suspects something. Okay, then. While cleaning the living room, Madison thinks about how to get more information. She needs something more concrete before taking any action. Connor comes running down the stairs. Maddie, you're here. I'm here. Good morning, Connor. Come see, Mommy changed my whole room. Madison looks at Miranda, who forces a smile. I decided to give his little room a makeover. When they go upstairs, Madison notices that all the furniture's been moved. Especially the little table where Connor used to draw near the window. Now it's on the other side, away from the office view. Why did your mom move everything, Connor? She said it looked prettier this way. But Madison suspects the real reason is to prevent Connor from seeing who goes in and out of the office. That afternoon, when Alexander comes home from work, Madison decides to test a theory. "Mr. Alexander, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Has Connor always been a good sleeper?" "Why?" "He told me that sometimes he dreams about a woman singing to him." "Oh yeah? That's weird." "He said the woman in the dream sings just like me." Alexander furrows his brow. "That is kinda strange." Miranda appears in the living room at that moment. "What are you guys talking about?" "Madison was talking about some dreams Connor's been having," Alexander explains. Miranda's face hardens. "What dreams?" "About a woman singing." "The kids make up all kinds of things. It doesn't mean anything." But the nervous way Miranda speaks makes it clear she's bothered. "That's true, right? Kids have such big imaginations," Madison agrees, but observes Miranda's reaction. After that day, Madison notices that Miranda doesn't leave her alone with Connor for very long anymore. She always shows up with some excuse to interrupt. A few days later, Madison makes a decision. She goes back to St. Mary's Medical Center, where her son was born, but this time with a different plan. At the reception, she looks for Mrs. Eleanor Hayes, a long-time employee who'd always been kind. "Madison? Oh my goodness, it's so good to see you. How are you?" "Hi, Mrs. Hayes. I'm good. I wanted to clear up something about some old paperwork." "What paperwork, sweetie?" "It's about when I had my baby. I need a copy of the death certificate." Mrs. Hayes gets a little uncomfortable. "Honey, why do you want to dig that up again?" "It's for some Social Security documents, bureaucratic stuff." "Oh, I see. But you know that takes time, right? Old archives are complicated." "No rush. I just need to know if it's possible. Let me check with the archive people." While waiting, Madison talks to other employees. Little by little, she gathers scattered information. One nurse mentions that back then, there was a lot of movement of people from the private hospital. Another comments that some records from that period disappeared. Nothing very specific, but enough to confirm her suspicions. When she gets back home, she finds Alexander in his office, going through bank statements with a worried look. "Everything okay, Mr. Alexander?" "Oh, hi, Madison. Just some accounts here that aren't adding up." "Any problems?" "I don't know. There are some expenses here I don't remember making." Madison sees several small transfers, the kind someone would make to avoid drawing attention. "Must be something from Mrs. Kensington, right?" "Yeah, probably. I'll ask her." That night, when Miranda returns from shopping, Alexander calls her to the office. "Miranda, what are these expenses here in the statement?" She looks at the papers and gets a little nervous. "What expenses?" "These transfers, several for $500, $3,000. "Oh, that. Those are some purchases I made on installments." "What purchases? Clothes, shoes, women's stuff?" $45,000 on clothes. "Alexander, you know how expensive these things are." "But $45,000? They were several purchases over time." Alexander's not totally convinced, but doesn't push it anymore. "Okay, I just thought it was strange." But in his head a small doubt plants itself. The next day, Madison notices that Miranda's even more controlling. She barely lets Madison be alone with Connor. "Mrs. Kensington, did something happen?" Madison asks. "Why do you think something happened? You seem kinda tense." "I'm just tired." But it's more than tiredness. Miranda's clearly on high alert. That afternoon, while Connor's taking his nap, Madison's organizing the laundry room when she hears Miranda talking on the phone in the kitchen. "No, it can't be now. It's too risky. She might suspect." Madison moves closer to the door, trying to hear better. "I know you said to resolve it quickly, but if I do that now, it'll be too obvious. Pause. Okay, but it has to be discreet, very discreet. Madison quickly moves away when she hears footsteps. Miranda appears in the laundry room with a strange expression. How long have you been here? I just got here. Why? Nothing. Just asking. But the way Miranda looks at her gives Madison chills. That night, Madison can't sleep. She keeps thinking about the conversation she overheard. Miranda was talking about resolving something, and it seemed to be about her. For the first time, Madison feels truly in danger. The next day, she makes a decision. She's going to go to the police, but not to file a complaint. She's going to ask for guidance. At the police station, the officer on duty receives her. How can I help you? I wanted to know how it works when someone suspects something but doesn't have proof. What kind of thing? It's complicated to explain. Try me. What if someone discovers that a child might not be the biological son of the parents who raised him? The officer looks at her with attention. Are you talking about a specific case? Hypothetical. I see. Well, without proof, there's not much we can do. We'd need a DNA test. And how do you get that? With family authorization or a court order. And if the family doesn't want to? Then it gets complicated. There'd have to be a formal complaint, investigation. Is it very complicated? Depends on the case. Why do you want to know? Madison hesitates. Just curiosity. But when she leaves the police station, she knows she can't wait anymore. She needs to act soon before Miranda does something. The next day, Madison arrives at work determined. She's going to take advantage of a moment when Alexander's home to tell him her suspicions. The opportunity comes at lunchtime. Alexander's in the living room, Connor's watching cartoons on TV, and Miranda went to get something from the bedroom. Mr. Alexander, can I talk to you about something important? Sure. What's going on? It's about Connor. Connor? Did he do something? It's not that. It's about his family. Alexander furrows his brow. What do you mean, his family? We are his family. What if he had another family, a biological family? Madison, what kind of strange conversation is this? Mr. Alexander, haven't you ever thought it was weird how Connor reacts to me? Weird how? The connection he has with me, like he knows me from somewhere. Alexander stays quiet for a moment. Where are you going with this? Before Madison can answer, Miranda appears in the living room. What serious conversation is this? Madison was talking about Connor, Alexander explains. What about Connor? Madison looks from one to the other and decides to be more cautious. I just commented that he's a very special child. Oh yes, that's true, Miranda agrees, but her eyes don't leave Madison. Well, I'm going to finish cleaning the kitchen, Madison says, leaving the living room. Later, when Alexander goes out to handle some things at the bank, Miranda confronts Madison. What was that conversation with my husband? What conversation? About Connor's biological family. I didn't say anything about biological family. Don't lie to me. Mrs. Kensington, I don't know why you're so upset. Because you're asking too many questions. What questions? About when Connor was born, about his dreams, about family. Those are normal conversations. They're not normal, and you know it. The two stare at each other. The tension in the air is almost palpable. What exactly do you think I know? You discovered something, didn't you? Discovered what? Stop playing innocent. At that moment, Connor appears in the living room. Why are you guys fighting? Both stop and look at the child. We're not fighting, Connor. We're just talking, Miranda says, changing her tone. But you were yelling. It was a misunderstanding, Madison explains. Connor goes to Madison and takes her hand. Maddie, are you gonna leave? Why do you think that? Because when people yell, somebody always leaves. Madison kneels down to his level. I'm not gonna leave, Connor. Promise? Promise. Miranda watches the scene with a mix of anger and desperation. She knows she's losing control of the situation and that she needs to take action before it's too late. When Alexander returns from the bank, he finds the house strangely quiet. Miranda's in the kitchen, nervously stirring her coffee. Where's Madison? She left early. Why? She said she wasn't feeling well. And Connor? He's in his room. Alexander feels something's wrong in the air. Did something happen while I was gone? Why do you think something happened? You seem weird, and the house is too quiet. Miranda stops stirring her coffee and looks at her husband. Alexander, I need to tell you something. What? It's about Madison. What about her? I think she's not who she says she is. What do you mean? I think she's here for some specific reason. What reason? Related to Connor. Alexander stays quiet, processing. Miranda, you're starting to worry me. Why? All this paranoia about Madison. This isn't normal. What if it's not paranoia? What if it's true? True what? Miranda hesitates. She can't tell everything, but she needs to prepare Alexander for what might come. What if she discovered something about Connor's adoption? What thing? I don't know, but what if she decides to create problems? Alexander looks at his wife like she's a stranger. Miranda, what's this story about creating problems? Madison's an employee. She has nothing to do with Connor's adoption. What if she does? How? What if she's a biological relative or something like that? Miranda, you're delusional. I'm not delusional. Look how Connor acts with her. He acts well because she treats him well. It's not just that, Alexander. It's something else. What's something else? A connection that shouldn't exist. Alexander shakes his head. I can't believe we're having this conversation. Alexander, please listen to me. No, Miranda, you listen to me. You're getting paranoid about something that doesn't exist. What if it does exist? It doesn't exist. But after he leaves the kitchen, Miranda's left alone with her fears, and with the certainty that she needs to act soon, because if Alexander discovers the truth, she's going to lose everything. Everything she built is going to come crashing down, and she can't allow that. 2 weeks after the conversation with the police, Madison finally gathered the courage to file the formal complaint. She spent days thinking, afraid of being wrong, but the evidence was too clear to ignore. On Thursday morning, the doorbell rings at the Kensington house. Alexander opens the door and finds 2 police officers. Good morning. Are you Alexander Kensington? Yes, I am. Did something happen? We need to speak with you and your wife about a legal matter. What kind of legal matter? It's about the adoption of a child. May we come in? Alexander feels a chill in his stomach, but invites the officers to come in. Miranda comes down the stairs and stops when she sees the uniforms. What's happening? She asks, trying to appear calm. Are you Miranda Kensington? Yes. We received a complaint questioning the legality of the adoption of the child Connor Kensington. Miranda's heart almost stops. What do you mean, questioning? A person alleges there may be irregularities in the process. Alexander looks from one officer to the other, trying to understand. What kind of irregularities? We adopted our son legally. Do you have the documents? Of course I do. Alexander goes to get the papers from his office. Meanwhile, the other officer continues. And who filed this complaint? Miranda asks, already suspecting the answer. A woman named Madison Bell. Alexander returns with the documents just as he hears the name. Madison, our former employee? That's right. She presented evidence that the child may be her biological son. That's a lie, Miranda explodes. She's making it up. Why would she make up something so serious? The officer asks. Because she's obsessed with Connor. She lost a child and now she wants ours. Alexander stares at his wife, noticing something strange. "Miranda, how do you know she lost a child?" Miranda realizes she said too much. She mentioned it to me." "When?" "Oh, some random day. But if she really lost a child, wouldn't it be natural for her to be confused?" The officer interrupts. "We're going to need to do some tests to clarify the situation." "What kind of tests?" Alexander asks. "DNA. It's the only way to resolve this definitively." "No!" Miranda screams. "You're not going to touch my son." "Ma'am, it's standard procedure. If the documents are correct, there's nothing to worry about." At that moment, Connor comes down the stairs in his pajamas. "Daddy, who are these men?" Alexander picks up his son, feeling the world spinning. "They're some people who came to talk with us." "Where's Madison?" She doesn't work here anymore." "Why? Did she leave?" "It's complicated, buddy." The officer observes the child. "We're going to need your cooperation to resolve this situation." "What if we don't want to?" Miranda asks, desperate. "Then we'll have to get a court order." "How long does that take?" Alexander wants to know. "A few weeks." Miranda takes advantage of the information. "So we have time to hire a lawyer." "Of course, that's your right." After the officers leave, the house falls into heavy silence. Connor went to play in his room, not understanding the gravity of the situation. "Alexander, we need to hire the best attorney there is," Miranda says, pacing back and forth. "What for? If Connor's our son, the test will prove it. What if something goes wrong? What if they mix up the samples?" Alexander stops and looks carefully at his wife. "Miranda, why are you so nervous?" "Because he's our son. Then there's no problem doing the test." "Alexander, please, let's get a lawyer first." "Why? What are you hiding?" Miranda looks at her husband and realizes she can't fool him anymore. "I'm not hiding anything." "Then why so much resistance to the test?" Because I'm scared." "Scared of what?" "Of losing Connor." "You'll only lose him if he's not our biological son, and if he's not, then—" Alexander stops in the middle of the sentence, processing what he just said. "Miranda, do you know something I don't know?" Miranda's eyes fill with tears. "Alexander, please don't make me say this." "Say what?" "The truth." 3 weeks passed. Miranda's attorney tries to delay the DNA test, but the court order comes through. There's no way to escape anymore. On the morning of the test, Miranda's sitting in the kitchen drinking coffee with trembling hands. "There's still time to tell the truth," Alexander says, sitting next to her. "What truth?" "The one you've been hiding for weeks." "Alexander, Miranda, I've known you for 10 years. I know when you're lying to me." Miranda starts crying. "If I tell you, you're gonna hate me. If you don't tell me and I find out later, it'll be worse. Alexander, I just wanted to be a mother. I know, and you are a mother. Not the way I should be." Alexander feels a chill. "What do you mean?" "The adoption wasn't exactly how I told you." "How was it then?" Miranda takes a deep breath. "The clinic said there was a special situation. A very young girl, alone." "So?" "They said it would be better for the baby to be with a stable family." That still doesn't explain anything. "Alexander, they didn't tell the mother that the baby was going to be adopted." "What do you mean they didn't tell her?" "They told her the baby had died." Alexander's world crumbles. "They did what?" "I didn't know she was going to show up in our lives. I never thought she'd find out." "Miranda, are you telling me our son was stolen from his mother?" "It wasn't stealing. It was to give him a better life." "By lying to the mother that he was dead." "Alexander, she was very young. She didn't have the means." "It wasn't our decision to make." Connor appears in the kitchen, scared by the shouting. "Why are you guys fighting?" Alexander picks up his son, trying to calm down. "We're not fighting, buddy. We're just talking." "But you were yelling." "It was a misunderstanding." Where's Madison? Is she coming today? Alexander looks at Miranda, who's destroyed. Connor, Madison. She might come visit you soon. Awesome, I missed her. After Connor leaves, Alexander faces his wife. How old was she? Who? Connor's real mother. 19. 19 years old, Miranda. A girl. Alexander, I didn't think that. You didn't think about anyone but yourself. That's not true. I thought about Connor. You thought about having a child, not about what was best for Connor. That afternoon, they go to take the test. Connor doesn't understand why he has to give blood, but cooperates because his dad asks him to. How long does the result take? Alexander asks. 2 weeks, the technician responds. 2 weeks that are going to feel like 2 years. 15 days later, the phone rings. It's the laboratory. Mr. Alexander, the result is ready. And? Would you prefer to come pick it up, or do you want me to tell you over the phone? Tell me. The child is the biological son of Madison Bell. Alexander sits down slowly in the chair. Are you sure? 99.9% certainty. Thank you. When he hangs up, Miranda's standing in the kitchen doorway. Was that the lab? She asks. Yes. And? Connor is Madison's son. Miranda collapses on the floor, crying. I lost my son. He was never your son, Miranda. Yes, he was. I took care of him for 4 years. You stole him from the person who should have really taken care of him. Alexander, what's going to happen to me? I don't know, but you're going to have to face the consequences. What about you? Do you forgive me? Alexander looks at the woman he thought he knew. I don't know if I can, Miranda. You lied to me for 4 years. You did, but I love you. If you loved me, you wouldn't have made me an accomplice to something like this. That afternoon, Madison comes to pick up Connor for a visit. It's the first time they've seen each other since the truth started coming out. Maddie! Connor runs and hugs her. You disappeared. Sorry, sweetheart. I had some problems to solve. What problems? Grown-up problems. Did you solve them? I'm working on it. Alexander approaches the two. Madison, the result came out. And? You were right, he's your son. Madison hugs Connor tighter, crying. I knew it. Deep down I always knew. What now? Alexander asks. Now we need to think about what's best for Connor. What do you want to do? I want my son back, but I don't want to take you out of his life. Connor looks from one to the other, confused. I don't understand anything. Madison kneels down to his level. Connor, remember when you asked me if I was your mom? I remember. I really am. Your real mom. Oh, but isn't Miranda my mom? Miranda took care of you, but she's not your biological mother. What about Daddy Alexander? Daddy Alexander took care of you too, and he'll always be special to you. Does that mean I'm gonna live with you? It means we're gonna figure out together how to make this work. 6 months later, things got sorted out legally. Miranda was sentenced to community service and to pay a hefty fine. She didn't go to prison because she cooperated with the investigation, but she lost custody permanently. Alexander sold the big house and moved to a smaller apartment in the same neighborhood where Madison lives with Connor. It's Thursday night. Connor's at Alexander's house helping make dinner. Daddy, why don't you live with us anymore? Because things changed, buddy. Changed how? We discovered that your biological mom is Madison. And you're not my biological dad? I'm not. But I'm still your dad from the heart. What about Miranda? Miranda did bad things. Is that why she doesn't come see me anymore? That's why. Connor stays thoughtful while stirring the pasta in the pan. Daddy, are you sad? Sometimes I am. Why? Because I found out that some things I thought were true weren't. But do you still love me? I love you more than anything in the world. Then you don't have to be sad. Deem, why? Because what matters is that we love each other. Alexander hugs his son, amazed by his wisdom. The following Saturday, Madison, Alexander, and Connor are at the park. Connor plays on the slide while the two talk on the bench. How are you dealing with all this? Madison asks. Some days are better than others. Are you mad at me? Mad? Why? For changing everyone's life. Madison, you didn't change anything. You just discovered the truth. But if I hadn't shown up, did you have the right to keep believing your son was dead? No. Then you did the right thing. Even though it destroyed your marriage? My marriage was destroyed by the lie, not by the truth. They sit in silence, watching Connor play. Sometimes I think about, Alexander comments, about what? How it would have been if we'd met under different circumstances. Do you think we would have been friends? I think so. You two are the most important people in my life. Alexander. I'm not going to lie and say it's easy. There are days I wake up and it takes me a while to remember that my life changed completely. And how do you feel on those days? Lost. But then I see Connor happy, and I remember it was the right thing to do. He really is happy, isn't he? He is, happier than I've ever seen him. It's because he's finally complete. What do you mean, complete? He always knew something was missing. Now nothing's missing. Connor runs over to them. Are we going to the movies today? Sure, Madison responds. What movie do you want to see? The one with the cars. Then let's go see the one with the cars. As they walk to the movie theater, Connor in the middle of both of them, Alexander thinks about how strange life is. 6 months ago, he had everything he thought he wanted. Big house, money, perfect family. Now he has a small apartment, counts every penny, and shares his son with someone else. But for the first time in years, he feels at peace, because now he knows that everything in his life is real. The love he feels for Connor is genuine. The friendship he's building with Madison is authentic, and the family they formed, even though it's different from everything he knew, is honest. At the movie theater, Connor sits in the middle of both of them, eating popcorn and laughing at the movie. From time to time, he looks over and smiles at the two adults who chose to love him. A mother who never gave up looking for him, and a father who chose to stay even after finding out he wasn't obligated to. It's not the family any of the three planned to have, but it's the family they built with the truth, and that makes all the difference. Did you like this story? Tell me in the comments. Do you think Miranda deserved to go to prison? And Madison, did she do the right thing by changing Alexander's life? Until the next story.